Namaskar and a very warm welcome to the show. I am Neha Tripathi. The length of summers is increasing every year. Now the whole year is hot. If it continues like this, there would be no weather change like summers, winters, autumn or spring. Rather, the weather will be gruesome hot, moderately hot and less hot. In such conditions, the need for cooling would increase automatically. For example, the air conditioners which run approximately 6 months a year would run round the year. This can lead to terrible consequences. Thus, there is a need for an action plan. One such action plan has been prepared by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, the India Cooling Action Plan. Let's know more about it in our report.
India is facing a cooling challenge, that is, how to provide access to cooling to its citizens without warming the planet. To provide a solution, India Cooling Action Plan was launched by the Ozone Cell of Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change last year. The India Cooling Action Plan seeks to reduce cooling demand across sectors by 20% to 25% by 2037-38. Reduce refrigerant demand by 25% to 30% by 2037-38. Reduce cooling energy requirements by 25% to 40% by 2037-38. Recognize cooling and related areas as a thrust area of research under the National Science and Technology Program. Training and certification of 1 lakh servicing sector technicians by 2022-23, synergizing with Skill India mission. The following benefits are expected from India Cooling Action Plan. Thermal comfort for all. Sustainable cooling by low greenhouse gas emissions related to cooling. Doubling farmers' income with better cold chain infrastructure, better value of products to farmers, less wastage of produce. Skilled workforce for better livelihoods and environmental protection. Domestic manufacturing of air conditioning and related cooling equipment under Make in India program. Robust research and development on alternative cooling technologies to provide the push to innovation in a cooling sector.
Now, as you know, India's Cooling Action Plan is important for our future, so it becomes our responsibility to know about the Cooling Action Plan, understand it and take actions accordingly. And to help us understand the plan better, we have with us in our studio Mr. Amit Love. He is head of the Ozone Cell under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, working exclusively for India's Cooling Action Plan. Welcome to the show, Amit ji. And we have with us Mr. Satish Kumar. He is President and Executive Director of AEEE, that is Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy. Welcome to the show, sir. So let's start, and I'll start with you, Amit ji. My first question is, like, when we make a plan, cooling plan for our homes, it is based on 2 factors: excessive cooling, efficient cooling, and low electricity bills. So when you are making an cooling action plan for the country, what is it based on?
See, cooling is an all-pervasive requirement. It is used in various sectors of the economy.
Okay.
Commercial and residential buildings, transport, cold chain. We have a lot of industrial cooling happening. And there are 2 components to cooling which have a direct implication to environment. One is the use of energy. The other is the use of refrigerant.
Yes.
So when the government of India was looking into this aspect, we realized that we are a fast growing economy. There is a rapid pace of urbanization.
Ji.
The penetration of cooling is less.
Yeah.
So obviously, if we have to plan for how to address the cooling demand of the country, we have to be integrated in our focus.
Yeah.
So that was the genesis on which we decided that what are the methodologies, technologies which are available to address this cooling requirement.
Okay.
And what are the ways and means by which we can bring down the cooling demand.
Okay.
So that was the basic premise on which we started. And the 2 things which hinged this thing was, one was the use of refrigerant,
Okay.
and the other was the use of energy. Both these things were the integrative factors.
That you have taken
Yeah.
into consideration while planning all
Planning,
this.
yeah.
India came forward to be the first country to adopt the plan. How it is a bold response to addressing India's future cooling needs? Satish ji, what do you have to say?
I think this is a really remarkable story that government of India had the vision
Yeah.
to understand, I think, what is cooling as it means to India, as it means to Indian people. And the reason I believe that government took such a strong stance and such a proactive stance was because India is a tropical country. We have 1.3 billion people, and there is a rising aspiration that people may want actually to purchase more air conditioners,
Yes.
which can have some impact on the environment as
Of
well.
course, they will.
As a result, I think the fact that government decided to say that we are going to come out with an India cooling action plan was based on the fact that they were trying to look at both the sustainable development needs of the country as well as some of the climate change implications of that technology.
Yes, yes.
And as Amit ji just mentioned, that they were looking at both the energy consumption as well as the refrigerant implications of that. And they took a very, I think, brave step and a comprehensive step to look at the entire Indian economy. So I think again, it was space cooling, it was cold chain, it was mobile air conditioning.
Yes.
And for those reasons, I believe that they felt that cooling can actually be a social and a developmental imperative that can not only affect the life of the Indian farmers on one hand, but also on the other hand of a common people, a common person who may be living in an economically weaker section or a low income group housing. So it was a sweeping arc, I think, in terms of how cooling and refrigeration can impact the lives of common Indian citizens.
Yes, it is focused on the common people, on the people who are watching us right now. They just want to, I mean, they would be just thinking that how would this plan work actually?
Well, for that, what we have done is we have taken a 20-year time horizon. We have broken that time period into short, medium, and long term.
Okay.
And the short term being the immediate 5 years coming up till 2022, 2023.
Okay.
Then the next 5, and then followed up by the 10-year time horizon. And then what we have done is we have linked up all those actions with the different government flagship programs which are already running. And we have lined up, identified the ministries and the government bodies which will be doing that.
Okay.
And the major goal what was there while we were doing all these actions was that we wanted to provide sustainable cooling, which basically means to reduce all the GHG emissions coming out from cooling, both direct and indirect, and bringing down the refrigerant demand. Then we were also focusing on providing thermal comfort for all,
Yes, yes.
which also includes our economically weaker sections, so that their housing, which is now coming under the Prime Minister's Awas Yojana, they should be able to provide basic minimum cooling needs. That is, they don't immediately move towards active air conditioning.
Okay.
And while doing all these actions, we were trying to secure both environmental benefits as also societal good.
Okay.
And you would, if you will go through the plan, you will find that more often than not, most of the development objectives of government program also have linked environmental benefit if the environmental issues are built in at the planning stage. That is what we try to do.
It's time for a short break. In the next segment, we will look at the technicalities of this project and will try and understand if and how this action plan will actually act to reverse the current situation.
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back after the break. Before break, Amit ji was mentioning a phrase, thermal comfort for all. Satish ji, I would like to understand that how this ICAP is addressing this thermal comfort for all and all across different economic demographics, how it would help.
So thermal comfort, I would say that I'll give you a technical definition that when we talk about thermal comfort, it is both the physiological, how your body is feeling in an environment, and it is also a psychological reaction to that environment. So it's both like the physical aspect as the mental aspect. Now there are a couple of ways through which people try to achieve thermal comfort. One is that they would adopt for more natural means, which is like natural ventilation, use of ceiling fans, those sort of things, or sometimes they would also deploy desert coolers. But a lot of people are now starting to use active air conditioning, which is the split air conditioner system, packaged air conditioner system, and chillers, which typically would require the use of refrigerant. And as Amit ji had mentioned, that this particular India Cooling Action Plan is looking at both the energy consumption side as well as the refrigerant side. So one of the beauties of this India Cooling Action Plan, and where I believe India really differentiates from the rest of the world, is that this India Cooling Action Plan is not just about active air conditioning and refrigerant, but also because of our demographics, because of, I think, the social developmental aspect of the country, it was felt that the Cooling Action Plan should also look at how buildings are going to get designed for economically weaker section, for low income group housing. And for that reason, there is a pretty specific, I think, guidance that has been provided, and it has been linked with the existing government programs. So for instance, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which is the Housing for All scheme, it focuses on those weaker sections, economically weaker section. And then we have an energy conservation building code. There is a residential energy conservation building code. So the India Cooling Action Plan is looking at these programs and providing some guidance in terms of how do you make thermal comfort for all a central theme of, I think, all the homes that are getting built. Do not just think about faster and cheaper, but design these homes so that people are thermally comfortable. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is that people who are using air conditioners or who are designing commercial buildings, so there are other policies like standards and labeling, and you would have seen star labeling, which is like B Bachat Ke Sitare, I think the ads that you see, I think on air conditioners you have 1 star, 2 star. So that's also a pre-existing program, and that there is a program which is also looking at that how much cooling it can deliver based on how much energy it is consuming. And it talks about, I think, how to work with that program to actually enable thermal comfort.
But as a civil society organization, as even Amit ji mentioned, with research capacity, what is your practice on this ICAP model?
I must commend, I think, the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, because a lot of times we as civil society organizations, we believe that we would like to work very closely with government on policy formulation, refinement, and if we have the expertise or if we have some knowledge and we can contribute in, I think, evidence-based policy making, then we would like to contribute to that. And here, I know that I think we probably worked for 1.5 years on this development of the India Cooling Action Plan, which tells you, I think, about the amount of work that was to be done under that. And I can tell you that right from, I think, Amit ji's personal involvement to the various officials at the Ministry of Environment, right from, I would say, Joint Secretary to the Additional Secretary to the Secretary, all the way to the Minister, there was a very strong commitment, and I think it was not a lip service. I think the best thing that I can say is that whatever I think we were discussing or whatever I think we were proposing, there was active discussions, there were negotiations, and based on that, a consensus process was developed, and which I think MoEFCC should take a lot of credit for, I think, in terms of carrying every organization with it, and also a bunch of government organizations that were instrumental
working
in developing
in this
and
field.
this idea.
If I go to the common people, we are using air conditioners in our homes, and today the scenario is that we can't live without air conditioners at all. Similarly, when we are moving out, we need AC cars. We need air condition everywhere as per the environment, the rising temperature. How do you think the situation would be reversed? How much you would be able to reverse it?
There's just a technical caveat on it. We are not trying to reverse it.
Okay.
We are trying to make it more systematic.
Okay.
Through few steps. One is we want to reduce the cooling load. That is, as Satish ji was mentioning, when you make buildings, you make them sensibly. Okay. You should look into the climatic aspects. Okay. You should have passive design elements. Then there is a second aspect. When you do air conditioning, then you should do it more efficiently. Like you should have high energy efficiency equipments. You should not go in for technologies which are dated. Okay. So basically get locked into technologies which are not up to the mark, which consumes huge amount of energy. Then because most of these refrigerants also have high GWP.
Yes.
So we are promoting that the air conditioning industry should move towards low GWP technologies.
Okay.
And I must share here one fact that under the program which is being run by Ozone Cell, at least in the area of air conditioning through refrigerants, we are probably moving comparatively speaking to the developed world on a low carbon path, and which has been the hallmark of the Montreal Protocol as such, under which all these refrigerants fall, which is an international agreement for ozone layer protection. So it is basically three-pronged. So it is, you reduce your cooling load, you should use efficient equipments, and the refrigerants wherever you are using them should have low GWP.
So
that
this
is what we
would automatically help in achieving sustainable development goals that we have.
So I'm very happy.
We are aimed at.
Yeah, I'm very happy that Dr. Love actually gave this example of how to go in a systematic fashion. Because at Alliance for an Energy Efficient Economy, we have coined a simple term to sensitize people on this process or system, and we call it lean, mean and green.
Okay.
So lean is about, I think, paying attention at the time of designing, climate sensitive design. Mean is about using the most energy efficient product.
Okay.
Right? And the green is about using green refrigerant or using renewable energy to meet our cooling requirement. And it has to be done in that sequential fashion. It's very important, because if you reverse it, then I think it is not going to work. So we feel that, I think, in order to accomplish our sustainable development goals, we really need to inculcate a culture that affects, I think, the building designers, the equipment manufacturers, the refrigerant manufacturers, I think the skilled technicians, and a lot of the things that has been addressed in the India Cooling Action Plan. So it is really a holistic way to look at, starting from, I think, the initial point to the end of life cycle of equipment, and how that can actually make us sustainable.
There is one thing mentioned in India Cooling Action Plan. It is that India has one of the lowest access to cooling across the world. Please elaborate on this. What does this mean?
Well, see, if you talk about active air conditioning, we may be, depending upon who estimates it, we may be between 6 to 10% of penetration of the air conditioning needs for the households. So basically that is, much of it is related to the income sources and the economic growth. We are in a phase, we foresee that in the coming 20 years, with, as I told in the beginning, we will have increase in the incomes, we will have rapid urbanization, we have a smart cities program coming in. So this demand will go up, and it may reach maybe 30, 35, 40%, depending upon what estimates we are. And because we have a huge population size, if we have even 30 to 40% active air conditioning penetration, the energy use will be high. Same will be the usage of the refrigerants. And that was precisely the reason we went into developing this plan. And it, of course, we are talking about air conditioners, so which basically relates to space cooling, but the same thing applies to cars. Because the number of cars will also increase.
Yes, of course.
We have metros coming in, so the number of metros increase. So in railways also air conditioning is required. So as I told, and if the industries come, so industrial process cooling is there. So that's the basic premise on which we started, that cooling, even though we don't recognize it, it is everywhere. And it is one of the most important elements now under the Doubling Farmers' Income Scheme of the Prime Minister, which basically talks about the cold chains.
Achha.
And so we have something in cold chain also, but of course not to that extent in percentage terms, but it is there. So much of what we are talking about for low access, it relates to the income scales and the level of urbanization and the economic growth. And as we increase, it will increase.
I think I would maybe just add one metric here. There was a publication by International Energy Agency where they used that how much electricity a person uses in a country on cooling, and they came out with that, and the number I think was roughly like 270 units or 270 kilowatt hour is used on an average in the world on cooling. And in India that number is 1/4. So India only uses, I think Indian average person only uses about 70 kilowatt hour, where US uses 1800, China uses 300 roughly, EU uses 300. So India is, I think from that perspective also, I think
using
it's access to cooling.
We'll come back on all this. It's time for a short break. We would discuss about some of the criticism that this plan is facing. How good or bad is it after the break?
India Science is an internet-based science TV channel initiated by the Department of Science and Technology, Government of India, implemented and managed by Vigyan Prasar. India Science on the URL www.indiascience.in is a bilingual channel with content in Hindi and English. It can be accessed on any internet-enabled device. This video platform is dedicated to science and technology knowledge dissemination with a strong commitment to spreading scientific awareness, especially with Indian perspectives, ethos and cultural context. The India Science mobile app can be downloaded from the Google Play Store and Apple Store.
Welcome back after the break. In the last segment, Amit ji, I would like to understand what are your targets?
Well, we have 5 sets of targets, and which we basically call an intervention scenario. So our targets is the deadline would be 2037-38. So we basically aim to reduce the cooling demand by around 20-25%. At the same rate, we want to reduce the refrigerant demand. We envisage to bring down the energy use by another 30-35 odd percentage points, and we aim to skill and train nearly 1 lakh service technicians by the year 2022. And we also want to make cooling as a national priority for R&D, given the fact that it is all over the place, used in various sectors. After these, I just want to provide a short point on what are the societal benefits which will come out of this plan. One, as we started, it was thermal comfort for all. The biggest strong point we are talking about on environment is sustainable cooling. We are also focused on doubling farmers' income under the cold chain segment. We are aligned with the program of Skill India, wherein we are trying to train the service technicians, and which will add to the livelihoods of the technicians, as also provide environmental benefit because leakages will go down. And we want to give a push to make in India and domestic R&D in the area of cooling. And how will we achieve that? We want to achieve this by looking at different synergies with ongoing government programs. So I think so we have a set of ambitious targets, but through synergies we want to look at.
How the India Cooling Action Plan is being criticized on this point only, that these targets sound very ambitious. How do you see this, Satish?
If you ask from a civil society perspective,
yes, of course,
I would say that because of the process that has been followed, we believe that there has been involvement of government on one side, there has been involvement of some of the civil society organizations who want the government to push the environmental envelope, and there has been private sector involvement. Rama has been involved, Regma has been involved in this process. And I personally feel that I think what the numbers that are reflected in the document is a result of the outcome, and it's neither a very strong target or a very low target. I think, and all of us feel comfortable that if all the three societal arms, if I can use that word, the government, the public sector, the private sector, and the civil society organization, we come together and show triple sector leadership, everybody I think is doing to solve this problem, they will be able to solve it. Because otherwise, I think the consequences can be quite catastrophic.
Okay.
So I think refrigeration, air conditioning consumes 10% of the total global energy demand. We are looking at increasing our cooling requirement 11x in buildings in 20 years, 5x in car air conditioning, 4x in cold chains. So all this will have implications on energy consumption, on greenhouse gas emissions. And I think we will need policy leadership, we will need technological leadership, and we will need the civil society to keep working with the two arms to actually make this possible.
Okay. Amit ji, so is it right to say that addressing the rising cooling requirement is both a challenge as well as a unique opportunity for you all?
I think so. It's very aptly put. It is a challenge, of course, but it has provided a unique opportunity. The opportunity was the India Cooling Action Plan. We have done this document. I think so now the government is committed to move ahead and implement it. I think so with all the involvement of the stakeholders, the civil society, the common people, which our Honorable Minister calls Jan Bhagidari, with the support of our industry and all government ministries and organizations. I think so we should be able to push ahead, and it will provide us not only benefits which are societal in nature, it will be of great impact with respect to addressing the climate change issue.
Okay. So all the best for this India Cooling Action Plan to both of you. It is a very good initiative, and I hope that we go ahead nicely on this. Thank you so much for joining us and enriching us with so much information. That's all for today. Hope you liked our show. Do send in your feedback on the email ID given on your screen. Goodbye and take care.